Oh my gosh, you guys, this movie. Okay, so last night I finally got around to watching Coffee and Kareem. I had done a reaction and review to the trailer for it a few weeks ago, a while back. And I remembered I was tickled. It was comedic to me. I also remembered that the kid in here, the character of Kareem, this kid right here, I remember that he was very foul-mouthed, and it was just, it was a little bit jolting, you know. I mean, he's playing a 12-year-old, and I know 12, some kids can be like that. But I have to say that, okay, this is my general feeling about the entire movie, not just about the kid, his character. But I have to say it was pretty off-putting. I didn't really appreciate the vulgar humor. I didn't find it funny. And it's not like, vulgar humor is never funny. Sometimes it can be, but in this case, I feel like it went way overboard. And the kid especially, well, like just in general, a lot of the characters overall in this film were not very likable, including the main actors, like this guy, his girlfriend. She was okay. In some parts she was a little annoying because like they get in this argument, and it shows this in the trailer too. They get in this argument and then she brings up his race, which I was like, okay, well, that's not cool. This is a guy you're supposed to be in a relationship with, and you're talking to him like that. I didn't find that was off-putting as well. But the main character, he's also just like this. Okay, I know he's written this way, but it got to be a little much. Like, he is such a dweeby pushover. I mean, he's such a little, he's like a, I don't know, it's just like, it felt, I guess that was the point of the story. That was what was supposed to be so comedic about it, was because, he gets basically run over by this, his girlfriend, isn't very understanding a lot of times about the situation that he's in with, well, like her kid is a little butt. He's not likable. This kid is, every so often there'll be little glimmers of, okay, that's this. But there's this one point in the movie, slight spoilers, where she is confronting this gang dude. And she says something to him about, well, I know you. I know you're a good person. And the character really, he wasn't all bad. He was caught up in bad things, right? The character. And she said, I know you. You're like my son. You try to act tough, but it's just because, you're trying to hide how you really feel. You're really good inside and all this kind of stuff. But the thing is, this kid, at one point in the film, he goes to this place so he can hire these bad guys to beat up and severely harm this guy, the main character, because he doesn't like that the guy's in a relationship with his mother. He could have had him killed. And I was like, well, that's a little bit beyond someone just kind of acting tough to hide his, his insecurities. He took it a step farther, and he was trying to have people, severely maim and or kill this guy. And I was like, wow, this kid, I don't know. I could not connect with his character very well. I did not appreciate his personality. Yes, it was supposed to be comedic. Some parts were comedic in here. There were some parts that were, like, there's a scene where the mother, she was beating the ever-loving hell out of these bad guys. And that was pretty funny because she's beating them up. They weren't expecting her to be this way. They thought she was going to be easy to manhandle, right, and to do what they wanted. And she beats the crap out of them, and they run from her, try to hide. That part was funny. Yeah, that cracked me up. The bad guy characters, the drug people who were after them, they were comedic too, especially that scene where they went to her house. This guy and some of the others there, they go to her house to, what were they after? I can't remember what they were after. The kid or whatever. The kid had witnessed this crime. You see that in the trailer. That's not a surprise. And they go to the house and they have this argument on the front door as to whether or not they need to knock, like ring the doorbell or just barge right in. And one of the guys, rings the doorbell, and then the other guy gets on his case. Well, you leaving fingerprints. So then he washes off the doorbell. That was kind of funny. Little tiny things like that were comedic. But overall, it just didn't resonate with me very well, and I was not a real huge big fan of this film. I wanted to be, because it looked like it was going to be pretty, kind of funny. I'm not into, slapsticky, silly comedy, and there were parts of this that were definitely slapsticky. And this character right here, and I had just seen her in The Hunt. That was the first movie that I had paid attention to her as an actor. Then I see her in here, and I'm like, oh, okay, and her character was annoying too, because it's like everybody was so over the top, and maybe it was some parts with her in it were kind of funny the way she acted, but then after a while it wore off. And by the end of the movie, it was like, towards the climax and showdown and whatever, it was like, I'm kind of over this. It wasn't, I don't know. I can't really put my finger on why it just wasn't meshing well. And so I was like, well, gee, I wonder what other people thought of this. Like, did a lot of people, really connect with this thing? And I went and looked it up, and I found that as a whole, most people didn't really care for it. Obviously, I don't put too much stock in I put some stock in what some official critics say, but it's not like I hang my hat on it. I do focus a lot more on what does the audience think about it? And the audience, it looks like on IMDb, maybe Rotten Tomatoes as well. I did not check Metacritic, but on IMDb is just audience scores. And the audience scores for it were like about 5.1, middle of the road. So half people liked it, half people didn't like it. Rotten Tomatoes, the audience score and the critic score weren't terribly far apart. They both thought it was horrible in general. And I have to say, I do agree with those numbers. I don't even know that I would give it a 5. I would probably go lower than it. I don't know if it's like they just tried too hard and it fell flat. It wasn't necessarily an issue with the acting too much. I mean, the kid wasn't the greatest actor. Maybe this is one of his newest films. He was maybe the weaker link as far as the acting talent went, but that wasn't really a huge deal. It was just I could kind of notice, because he's younger, maybe he just doesn't have as much experience. The acting of the others was fine. This girl here, like I said, she started to wear thin. I did really like her work in The Hunt. I really liked that, but I don't know. I don't know if it was the writing. The characters just as a whole weren't very, very likable. And, when you can't identify with and connect with characters, well, for me anyway, I have trouble appreciating the work and liking it. And this was one of those cases. It was just, unfortunately, I was kind of surprised. I did not look at any reviews before I watched it, but that was what I came away with. It was like, okay, I'm not really a huge fan of this. Didn't care for it. And then I went to go see, what did other people think about it, and found that it's not just me. There were people obviously that had issues with it as well. I didn't read any of the specific reviews, but I have a feeling that probably a lot of the stuff they talk about would be in line with maybe how I felt about it. It's just I'm not expressing that very well. I'm just kind of saying I wasn't a fan, didn't care for it. But anyway, I just wanted to get this review done while the movie was fresh in my mind. I've got all these other reviews lined up to do, some of them for things that I saw a few weeks ago. And I hope that my memory will serve me okay when I try to recollect things about these movies or shows that I liked or didn't like or whatever. We'll see. But anyway, yeah, that's my thoughts on this one. Surprised that I ended up feeling the way I did about it. And if you guys have seen it, let me know what you think. Did you like it? Did you hate it? Did you feel it was just like so? Whatever. Okay, that's it for this one. Adios.